My name is Tammy, a 39-year-old working in the sales department of a trading company. Since my student days, I've always had a knack for taking the lead in groups and bringing people together. Even now, I'm in charge of several subordinates, and I don't lose out to the veteran male team in sales performance. I take pride in the strong support I receive as a reliable manager from my female colleagues. However, even when I come home to my apartment, exhausted from work, there's no one there to welcome me. I've separated from my husband of 17 years, and I've decided to live apart from my 15-year-old daughter. The boxes in the apartment I've newly rented are still piled up, unpacked, but I don't regret it. I'm going to start over from here on out. Allow me to explain why I've decided to start this new life. Back then, I was living in an apartment with my husband Bob and our daughter Rebecca. Bob was a college classmate, and after we ran into each other post-graduation and dated for 2 years, we got married. Bob used to work in the sales department of a printing company until a few years ago, but now he's a web designer. After leaving his job, he became self-employed and worked from home on jobs he gets online. Our daughter Rebecca is in 8th grade. The first sign of trouble was a change in Rebecca's attitude.
What the heck? I told you to buy the moisturizing cream.
Oh, sorry, honey. I totally forgot. I promise I'll get it after work tomorrow.
You're totally useless. I can't believe it.
Rebecca started to look at me with cold eyes more often, and her words became more and more harsh each day. I guess it can't be helped because she's at that age. That's what I would tell myself at first.
Hey, Dad, do you want to go out with me on your day off? There's a movie I want to see.
Sure, sounds fun. Which movie?
In the past, Bob would usually say,
let's go with Mom as well.
But now it seemed he had no qualms about leaving me behind.
Hey, give me some money. You heard our conversation, right? Rebecca and I are going to see a movie this weekend. $300 should be enough.
$300? Isn't that a bit too much? Can't you use your debit card for your account?
Just do it. I'll need cash too. We're going to do some shopping and eat out too.
At some point, even Bob began to treat me poorly. Our conversations as a couple decreased, and I began to feel isolated. Then one Sunday, on that day, Bob and Rebecca complained about the breakfast I had prepared.
What the hell is this? I always tell you I want my eggs over easy. Get it right.
Well, there's no need to be so upset.
And the soup doesn't taste good. Didn't I tell you before that I hate mushrooms?
But they're good for you. Can't you say something to her, Bob?
What do you mean? It's your fault for not being able to do a single thing you're told, and you're supposed to be an adult.
Cold words. Something was off. I wanted to know why. By the time I realized this, it was already too late. One week, when I learned that Bob was planning to go out, I decided to secretly follow him. Bob worked from home, as I said, and didn't have any plans to go to the barber or the doctor. So why was he going out? I was suspicious. My fears came true. Waiting for Bob in the cafe was a young woman in her 20s with a good figure. When they left the store, they walked arm in arm. I felt dizzy and couldn't follow them. The day I dreaded might come has arrived. Yes, I've always been afraid that Bob might run off with another woman someday, because I didn't have confidence in my looks, because I knew I was below average when it came to looks. Bob, on the other hand, was undeniably handsome. He was so handsome, it made me wonder why he chose me. Later, I hired a detective to investigate Bob's relationship with the woman.
Your husband's mistress is a 26-year-old woman who works at a cosmetic surgery clinic. Her name is Sofia Garcia.
Among the evidence photos the detective showed me, there were some that were too explicit to look at directly. They were openly kissing, entering a hotel, and among those photos, there were some that had a certain other person in them. This one too. This one also shows the three of them with Rebecca too. What's going on? What does this mean?
So it was your daughter after all. It appears that your husband's relationship with Sophia is approved by Rebecca.
I was dumbstruck. I felt an acute sense of alienation and loneliness. What had I done to deserve this? Biting back my tears, I made another request to the detective to record conversations between Bob and Rebecca. Several times a month, they would extract money from me to go enjoy their movie dates and shopping sprees. I was certain that somewhere in their banter there must be some undeniable evidence. Days later, I played back the sound recording the detective sent me. I was speechless. She's seriously annoying. She can't even follow simple instructions and then tries to play the mother card.
Well, she is technically your mom.
Why don't you just dump her already?
Sophia's been waiting patiently, hasn't she?
About that, Rebecca, I'm thinking it's still too soon to think about divorce.
Huh? That doesn't make any sense. Sophia's been waiting, right?
I've talked it through with Sophia.
I just can't stand breathing the same air as that ugly woman.
Same here, but she earns the money more than me, frustratingly so. You get it, right?
Is that so? I didn't really know.
Yeah, that's how it is. If I divorce her carelessly, I won't be able to use that money. We've got to play this carefully.
So we just pull out all the money we can and then let Sophia move in?
That's right. I need to check if Sophia can handle that kind of life. And if not, I'll have to persuade her.
I think Sophia will be fine. She's so understanding. Beautiful women are just different, you know?
Yeah, I know. I regret it so much. The biggest mistake of my life was marrying that ugly woman.
That day, under a hot shower, I wept copiously. I cried and cried and cried and finally made up my mind. Enough was enough. If that was their plan, so be it. I'm not stupid. Rather than let them take advantage of me, I decided it was high time to take some serious action. I remember the hardship of the following weeks well. Each day, I suppressed my emotions and proceeded with the preparations for my demise. Even when Rebecca's middle school graduation day arrived, no profound emotions arose in my weary heart. Oh my gosh, I can't decide on a hairstyle. It's so frustrating. Who gave me this face? Seriously. Rebecca indeed was the spitting image of me. Facing the mirror, I pretended to ignore her usual grouchy remarks. Then, hey, I need some money. Around $400 will do. What's a kid gonna do with $400? Besides, today is your graduation ceremony, isn't it? Well, obviously because it's graduation, I'm going out with friends afterwards and eating out with Dad, too. In the end, I handed Rebecca the $400. This is the last time, I thought as I did so. Rebecca took the money without a word of thanks and said, Hey, I'm going to get plastic surgery soon. Plastic surgery? Yeah, I'm saying goodbye to this ugly face that looks just like yours. I can't wait. A total transformation in a month before high school starts.
Okay.
Huh? I'm surprised. I thought you would be much more against it. What a letdown.
Well, I won't say anything. It's your body, Rebecca.
Yeah, you know what I mean, right? It's only natural to want to get plastic surgery with a face like this. It's your fault. Afterwards, I drove Bob and Rebecca to middle school. Rebecca made me stop the car a little before we got to the school. Dad and I will get off here. You can go home. You know I don't want my friends to see you, right?
Of course, I went home. I had no interest in attending the ceremony. Everything went as planned, which felt quite nice. I returned to the apartment and waited. A truck and 3 men arrived. All right, we'll pack and move things out. Given the amount of stuff, I think we should be done in about 2 hours.
Thank you. I appreciate your help. That day, I moved to a new apartment, leaving the divorce papers on the table of the old apartment. I had put in a request for a vacation at my work. I toured several places domestically, savoring the rare freedom. Perhaps I could have enjoyed it more without the persistent calls from Bob and Rebecca. A few days later, I returned to the new apartment all rested from my journey when I finally answered one of Bob's incessant calls of the day.
You finally answered. Hey, where are you? What are you doing?
I'm just relaxing in my room watching TV. What is it? You sound so flustered. Is something wrong?
What do you mean is something wrong? What do you mean by your room? Explain yourself properly.
There's no what do you mean. You saw it, didn't you? The divorce papers, that's all. No explanation is needed, right?
So you knew about my...
About your what? If you mean your affair, I knew.
I have no intention of breaking up.
I figured. With your income, you can't support Rebecca. But tough luck. I'm getting divorced and taking alimony, too.
Who says I'm going to pay alimony?
We should talk about this matter calmly. Oh yes, you can bring Rebecca along or not. It doesn't matter to me. I didn't really want to see them anymore, so I abruptly ended the call, turned off my phone, and cut off contact. I chose the cafe to have our discussion. The same cafe where I first saw Bob meeting with Sophia, but only Bob came. There was no sight of Rebecca. She must be fresh out of plastic surgery. Poor girl.
Who's that with you? This is my attorney, Mr. Johnson.
You brought a lawyer?
Well, did you bring the filled out divorce papers as I asked?
As I've said, I won't fill out such a thing. I'll tell you as many times as it takes. I've no intention of breaking up.
Do you just want the money I earn? Do you think we can continue our marriage for that reason?
What? Who said I'm after your money? Who said it? You're making assumptions about people's feelings.
I gave Mr. Johnson a nod. Mr. Johnson took out his smartphone and calmly pressed the play button. What started to play was a conversation between Bob and Rebecca from that day. Bob's face turned pale instantly. No wonder.
It's quite something to have your own bad-mouthing played out right in front of you.
I don't want to breathe the same air as that ugly woman. If I carelessly break up with her, I won't be able to use the money.
No matter how many times I hear them, those harsh words cut right through my heart. Knowing that this is his true feelings sends chills down my spine.
A recording? What the hell do you think you're doing?
What am I doing? I think I should be the one to say that. Did you use the money I gave you to go out with that woman, Sophia?
That's not exactly, but... May I confirm something? You don't intend to divorce, correct?
Bob nodded, and Mr. Johnson continued.
In that case, we will file for divorce with the family court. We can also discuss the division of assets. The court will hear the circumstances and verify the facts to decide whether or not the divorce should proceed. In this case,
Mr. Johnson held his smartphone.
The conversation with your daughter earlier is quite decisive. In my personal opinion, the divorce is almost certain.
I came here today to talk about what comes next. I started taking out various documents. All of them were carefully prepared for this day. This chart shows how much money I gave you and when. This one is a record of utility bill payments.
What the hell? What are you showing me all this for?
And this is a record of money withdrawn from our joint account. Rebecca's surgery cost quite a bit, didn't it? Eyelid surgery, eye shape correction, double eyelid surgery, nostril reduction, philtrum reduction, creating tear bags, cheek and nasal bone shaving. The surgeries totaled $40,000. There's only about $20,000 left in the savings. There used to be $70,000. You've spent quite a bit, haven't you?
That was for Rebecca. I could save up again.
Do you realize that I was the one who mostly saved up that money?
I was really starting to get angry.
I'm okay with splitting what's left in the account for the division of property. I won't say anything about Rebecca's surgery costs. However,
what?
I expect you to pay for the emotional distress I've suffered, so keep that in mind, and...
Wait, there's more?
Have you kept in touch with that woman, Sophia?
No, not really.
That's what I thought, because... Well, I hired a private investigator to look into her. She's got a criminal record, so you better be careful.
A criminal record?
She was charged with fraud and was arrested. She was in cahoots with the director of another cosmetics surgery clinic.
What the...
She must have thought you and Rebecca were easy targets. My condolences.
Rebecca? What about Rebecca's surgery, then?
I hope everything went well. Otherwise, we might have to negotiate with the hospital. Might even have to sue them.
We'll have to see whether the clinic would agree to a settlement in that case. There are many dishonest clinics that deny their mistakes and dig in their heels.
Hearing Mr. Johnson's words, Bob's face noticeably turned pale. That's all for today. Send the divorce papers, okay? Direct them to Mr. Johnson, since I obviously won't be giving you my address.
Well, wait, please, one last thing.
What?
Can you lend me some money?
He looked pitiful. I'm ashamed I ever fell for such a man. Absolutely not. I left the cafe with Mr. Johnson, leaving a devastated Bob behind. According to rumors, Bob and Rebecca's life turned into a complete mess afterwards. On Bob's salary alone, it was even hard to afford an apartment and support Rebecca. Eventually, Rebecca had to start doing odd jobs like newspaper delivery, and they moved to a cheaper apartment, downgrading their living standard. With just his web design projects, he couldn't make ends meet and even had to take up day labor. Pitiful, really. But Bob must pull through. After all, he hasn't finished paying my alimony yet. I decided to let him pay it off in installments. Paying out $30,000 all at once would have been impossible for Bob. Given his small business, which barely covered his side income, borrowing money would have been out of the question, too. I could have let him borrow money from a loan shark, but I didn't want to put that much pressure on him. A few days later, I received a call from Rebecca. As expected, the surgery was a total failure. It was far from ideal. Rebecca and I met at the cafe and had a long chat after not seeing each other for a long time. She still had bandages on part of her face.
The surgery left marks and I need another operation to remove them. It's the worst.
Still can't get in touch with that Sophia girl, huh?
Yeah, you were right, Mom. She only saw us as easy targets.
Rebecca stared out the window, a far-off look in her eyes. She seemed more mature to me than before.
Well, I gotta go now. I have to go to my part-time job and do my high school homework afterwards.
I'm really busy. Good luck.
Thanks. Mom, I'm really sorry for all the trouble I've caused.
No need to be polite all of a sudden. I won't give you any money, okay? I won't ask for it anymore. With a wave, Rebecca left the cafe, and that's how I ended up where I am today. I don't have many regrets. I'm satisfied with my current life. Rebecca is practically living on her own now, and I have no lingering feelings for my good-for-nothing ex-husband, who had nothing going for him except his looks. I saw him the other day in town. He was covered in dirt, working in construction gear and a helmet. Did he always have such gloomy eyes? He looked so different. I barely recognized him. Making a living is hard work, and he deserved to be in such a pitiful state after wasting so much money. It's not all about looks. I truly believe that now. I will continue to do my best as I am. In my eyes, the future now looks brighter than ever as I've hit the reset button on my life.